to the food our mothers have eaten before we were even born. This new capacity is also underpinning our growth of modelling of complex systems such as climate and exploring the frontiers of space. One of the hallmarks of any network is that its power increases the more people are connected to it. And we've seen as more and more devices connect to the internet, and it's great to have now shopping online. You've simply now added to the power of that network. We've got to see new networks arising. Our electricity right now, in analogy of communication, it's a bit like sitting around an old radio at home with the family huddled around the small Bakelite radio, listening to Radio Australia with a single message. That's kind of what our power grids are like now. One directional, into the homes, no power in this network. We will see smart electricity grids offer the same sort of opportunities to the power grid that the internet gave to our communications. We'll have energy storage all around the grid, just as we did with the internet in data storage. We'll be able to integrate renewable energy from our homes, our industries, our offices, and we'll be able to increase our energy efficiency because we'll know and understand it. A personal touch is one of our the final trends that we saw, which was the trend for innovation aimed at tailoring and targeting services, individual, personalised. And this is really exemplified by the take-up of the iPhone, the iPad, and Stephen, a tip for your online shopping. This trend tells you that you absolutely have to make it a personal experience for that online shopper. These trends are very visible, but there are other things that we need to prepare for, and they are the shocks that we can't see. The most profound one for Australia is, of course, health threats such as swine flu, the H1N1 that we saw, because it is a very sobering thing to tell you that the majority of new and emerging diseases will come from animals and be transmitted to humans. That is a very sobering position for us, and it is certainly an increasing trend. So science will absolutely need to help the nation prepare for that increasing threat of plant and animal diseases and their transmission around the globe. I nurtured both my daughter and also a young boy who was visiting from overseas on a sporting trip through swine flu. And I cannot imagine the difference of conversation as I phoned his parents in London and said, yes, he's caught a little bit of piglet flu. I was trying to sort of lower the importance of this. And my daughter's just been through it, and he's showing all the symptoms. He will be fine. You can imagine that call if that strain of H1N1 had been a much higher level of fatality than we saw, and we were lucky enough to see with the one we did. The key to unlocking these challenges and opportunities will be working across the connections and not seeing them or thinking about them or setting up our research organisations to work on them in isolation. So these challenges are changing the way we're doing science. So as we respond to these major challenges, and I said they're connected, we need to be now good at two things. We've always been quite good at a deep understanding of the fundamental mechanisms of how things work. The world around us, our genetics, our climate, the physics, how things work, materials. But now we have to be good at something new. And we have to be good at a deep understanding of how things are connected. I don't know what you were taught when you were at school, but I know what I was taught. When the problem was complex and large, break it down and make it simple, was the message that I was given. Because it's easier for us to look at things simply and to look at them in isolation. We absolutely now have to understand how things are connected, and it's going to require us to model and comprehend, visualise, see, communicate very complex systems. For example, this nation, Australia, urgently needs right now a picture of the interplay of our carbon and energy, our water and our land use, and we don't have it. How can we possibly make the complex decisions on the interplays and trade-offs without a fundamental picture of the interplay of those three important aspects of this nation? These insights of this new future will be fuelled and powered by networks of computers. We will need that powerful visualisation if we're going to understand and communicate very, very complex systems. And we know our science future will be data intensive, it will be collaborative, and it will be globally connected. Before I came here, I met this morning the head of the Chinese Academy of Science, and we spent a lot of time talking about what we needed to do to connect our two nations on these important issues. Let me just give you an example of how it's changing the way we do science. We're currently building the next generation radio telescope called the Australian Pathfinder, SKA Pathfinder telescope in Western Australia. In the first week of operation, this telescope will generate more data than currently exists on the internet, a DVD's worth every 2 seconds. And already we have 160 institutions from 27 countries booked to use this facility. That's what our science will look like. It is increasingly looking like. We've always known, and I always think of Darwin and some of the wonderful groundings in our science that have been completely grounded in observation. I'm a true believer that quality of science is grounded in the highest quality observation and information that you can capture. In this new future, we'll increasingly ground that in national and global observational networks. We will have sensors in the air and the oceans, on the ground, connected, and we will access that information in real time in global networks. Already we're doing this. We've got 3,000 robotic floats in our oceans around the world, providing real-time data for our oceans, climate and fisheries research. Australia is participating in this, but so are 50 research agencies from 27 different countries. So the way we're tackling and doing our science is being very much influenced by these challenges that we have. So where are the major challenges for Australia that will require science and innovation, the things that will speak deeply to our unique challenges and opportunities and the things that are unique for Australia? I think there are some things we simply must be good at, and we cannot expect the market to fund this kind of innovation. In particular, taking action on our climate, managing our water and preventing chronic disease are three areas that we will need public funding and support for. Australia is very vulnerable to changes in climate because we have already one of the most highly variable climates in the world. We also have 85% of our people living in the coast, along the coast. This vulnerability has already driven a history of innovation in this nation, and one that CSIRO has been very much a part of. We've developed drought-tolerant, disease-resistant crop varieties. We needed to do that simply to get our agriculture established many decades ago. And we did all that while increasing productivity. For any of you that are wearing high-end cotton shirts, and I'm sure if you're at the Lowy Institute you are wearing high-end cotton shirts, I can almost guarantee that wherever that cotton was grown around the world, provided it's high-end, for you guys who are in the low-quality ones, I can't guarantee this at all, but the ones wearing good shirts, that cotton came from varieties that were developed in Australia. Already the cotton varieties that are used use half of the water that in the 70s we needed to grow the same bale of cotton. So incredible improvements in water efficiency. And already 60% of the plantings in Texas are Australian varieties. So please go online, buy those high-end shirts, because we get the royalties. We as a nation, because we knew we had a very variable climate, we knew it was very different to our European heritage, we invested in one of the best climate observation and short-range forecasting capabilities that you will find anywhere in the world. It's of course resident in our Bureau of Meteorology. And because of this